of time in college, getting the fundamentals. He knows the game. He can see things before they happen. He's like a Jedi out there. He's one of the best players in the NBA. I don't think he's better than LeBron James, but LeBron James is a special case. When you look at guys like Kawhi Leonard, spend a substantial amount of time at San Diego State. Look at what he's doing. Some people argue that he's the best player in the game because the NBA is so watered down now that you got people coming in without the tools that they need to be good NBA players. These guys got to sit on the bench 3 or 4 years before they can even contribute.
I understand what you're saying, and they're valid points, but I thought you were trying to argue that the NBA game is better than the college game. So essentially what you're saying is that the NBA game is basically the college game because most of the younger players only played 1 or 2 years of college.
It's starting to become that. It's starting to get watered down. But in the NBA, what helps them is that's what they do all day long. They can play basketball. So they have enough time to go out there and work on shooting. They have enough time to go out there and work on ball handling skills. But what they don't have time to do is learn, is to get more mature, is to grow the fundamentals and come into the game like a Michael Jordan and ready to help their team excel immediately. We are losing that in the NBA.
But that's not on the college player. They're just taking advantage of the system that's in place. I mean,
didn't say it was.
If the system was different, if it was a system where they had to stay 3 years minimum or they had to stay all 4 years, then, it would be different. But if and buts was candy and nuts, it'd be Christmas every day. So
every day would be Christmas. Amen.
So you can't really, though you're speaking in a hypothetical situation, which is not currently, the actual program that's in place. So, I just believe that both games are great, the NBA and the college game. College game, I think, is a lot more passionate. I mean, because it's actually college, it's college campuses, you actually live with your teammates, you live in the same place, you don't have a family yet, that you go to. The NBA is a business. So, I just really believe the passion of college basketball trumps the professional, status of the NBA. I love the NBA, love the NBA playoffs. But, it's just my humble opinion, man, and everyone has their own. Just like you have your, I feel like you want to reach through your tablet and lay hands on me. I mean, you got pretty heated there, sir.
I'm just saying, man, I enjoy watching the NBA game better because the game is just so much more skilled at that level. You have guys that can do things that are really unimaginable for any of us out here just watching the games. It is getting watered down because people are just coming in the league after 1 year of collegiate experience. Some of them are even going overseas and playing professionally and then coming into the league. So that's hurting the game a little bit. But currently, the NBA game is better because they're just more developed players. It's not as many mistakes. It's not as many mistakes even by the coaches at the NBA level. There are coaching mistakes made by everybody. Don't get me wrong. Hall of Fame coaches on both ends, but there tend to be more mistakes by the collegiate coaches than it is from the NBA coaches.
I mean, that's just your humble opinion. I don't know. I mean, we can argue about this all night, man. Again, thank you for listening to the All Things Sport podcast. The show is just getting started. Pierre has been so hostile towards me on this first hot topic, saying that the NBA is better than the college basketball game. 2 things, sir, that the NBA does not have that the college basketball game has: March Madness and Luther. So with that being said, we're going to take this commercial break. The show's just getting started. We'll be right back with our second hot topic on the All Things Sport podcast on Spreaker Radio.
The All Things Sport podcast, your source for a plethora of sports content.
For real? How much those scores? Because my man just bought a Miata.
Every Friday at 10 a.m. on Spreaker Radio.
The Capital City Qs present the Seersucker Soiree. Join the brothers of the Chi Iota chapter of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated with Columbia's premier indoor-outdoor event, featuring an outdoor concert with a live band and DJ. Food vendors will be available on site. Fellas, bring out your best seersucker fits. And ladies, make sure you're dressed to kill for the Metro's Flyest Groove for the grown and sexy. Saturday, May 14th at the Terrace of Adventure, 211 Gervais Street, Columbia. This event is sure to sell out, so to purchase your tickets, contact 803-361-6788 or visit CapitalCityQs.com. That's CapitalCityQs.com. We'll see you there. We're back with more of the All Things Sport podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Welcome back to the All Things Sport podcast, where Pierre and Daimeon give you podcasting brilliance. Another fantastic episode is underway. Just got into it with the first hot topic about NCAA basketball, about the NBA. Next hot topic, Pierre. A lot of people don't really love the sport of baseball anymore. Used to be America's pastime. The NFL is officially now America's pastime. What happened to baseball?
And all of this is just my humble opinion, but it's just not exciting enough for most red-blooded Americans. In America, we like a couple different things when it comes to sports. We like violence. We like points. And baseball just doesn't give most red-blooded Americans enough of that combination. When you look at most baseball games, a lot of them end in 3-2 scores. They're 9 innings. Pitching has got so good. I mean, so good lately that most batters, if you're a great batter, you're batting around 333, and that can get you in the Hall of Fame nowadays. I mean, back in the day when it was America's pastime, guys were hitting 70 home runs and 60 home runs and batting in the upper 300s, sometimes maybe even 400 if you were a great player. It's just not like that anymore.
Well, Pierre, I have a couple different reasons why I believe that baseball isn't America's pastime anymore, why people don't love baseball. One, man, is if you're watching baseball on TV, the game is just entirely too long if you're watching it on TV. Because no one in this day and age, with our technologies, with our iPads, with our iPhones, with our Androids, no one sits down for 3 straight hours anymore. You know, this is a fast-paced world that we live in. No one really sits down that long, to watch TV, unless it's the NFL. Let's be honest. People love the NFL, man. And, most people, if you're a casual sports fan, which most Americans are, you're not going to sit down for 3 hours to watch baseball. And secondly, like I said, the casual sports fan is not going to be drawn to a slow-paced game. I mean, baseball is slow. You got pitches and you got signs being given by the catcher, the manager coming out from the dugout to talk to the pitcher, people adjusting their gloves. It's just too long. It's slow paced. So, and I really believe, I'm a lover of baseball. It's not my favorite sport, but I love baseball. If people would actually go to a game, go to a good minor league game. If you don't have a major league team in your city, go to a good minor league game. We're blessed. We're from Durham, North Carolina. We're one of the best minor league teams in the world, is in the Durham Bulls. So, and that stadium is one of the best minor league parks in the country. So go to a game, man, and experience that game day atmosphere at the ballpark. And I think that people don't really get to experience that because a lot of baseball games are during the day. Most Americans work. And you're not going to get off just to go to a baseball game. So those are just two of the, a couple of the factors that I believe where baseball, it's not going to be loved like football is loved. Football is played, once or twice, now 3 days a week, Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. People devote an entire day to the NFL. They're not going to devote their day to a baseball game. It's too many games in a season. It's like 130,000 games in a baseball season, those are factors where casual fans, they're not going to keep up with 200 million games for the season. I mean, this is just my humble opinion. Correct me if you think I'm wrong.
But it goes back to what you just said, the tablets, the phones. America is all about instant gratification nowadays. And for something to last 3 hours and to go 9 innings with not a lot of action going on, man. I mean, you could be a right fielder in baseball and you cannot see any action for innings with the S. That's plural. You can just be standing out there and nothing actually comes your way. And as Americans, it's hard to sit down and have to endure a 3-hour game with not a lot of action. That's why soccer doesn't do as well in this country. That's why they've had to make a lot of changes in the game of hockey in the NHL to try to add more scoring to the game, to add more excitement to the game. Now, again, I'm not saying that no one likes baseball. Of course, I love baseball. If you can't tell, if you hadn't been able to understand by now, I'm a huge Boston Red Sox fan. But for most Americans, like you said, they're casual fans and they just don't have the time or patience to sit and watch a game with, again, not a lot of violence, not a lot of scoring, and just not a whole bunch of excitement. Even in hockey, you get fights. They change the scoring and now it's shootouts and things like that keep it exciting for the fans. You just don't get that with baseball.
Yeah, baseball, man, we grew up, in a time where baseball was king. Well, I did. The NFL was very popular. It was the second most popular sport when I was a kid, but baseball was the most popular sport. You got your flagship teams, the Yankees, the Red Sox in the American League. On the West Coast, you got the Giants, the Dodgers. Those are flagship teams. You got the Cubs, the Mets, like teams that everyone knows. Like my Baltimore Orioles. I mean,
don't know how.
Don't disrespect the Orioles, man. We're one of the flagship franchises in Major League Baseball. You got the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, we got history, man. We won World Series, man. So, I mean, please don't disrespect the Buck Showalter and the Fighting Showalters, man. Please don't disrespect us. Because I'm telling you right now, on this day, April the 6th, 2016, the Baltimore Orioles and the Fighting Showalters will win the American League East. But I digress. Now, see, the casual fan doesn't know who won the World Series last year. If you ask 10 people, 8 of those people are probably not going to know who won the World Series last year. And that's sad, man, because playoff baseball is freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Playoff baseball is so good, man, that it doesn't matter who's playing. It's so good. Like, it's pitch by pitch. You're hanging, at the edge of your seat, man. But if you ask 10 people, maybe 3 or 4, maybe, will know who won the World Series last year. They won't know that the Kansas City Royals were on the brink of elimination in the wild card game to take, like, they were like 3 outs away from being eliminated in the wild card game to going all the way and winning the World Series. So, baseball is exciting during playoffs, but the casual fan is not going to sit through 5 million regular season games just to get to the playoffs. And, I would advise casual baseball fan to casually drive over to a ball game, be it a minor league game, wherever you live, or a major league game, and just take in the game day atmosphere. Smell the grass. Hear the sounds of the ballpark, man. There's nothing like it, man. I love baseball, not as much as I love football, but it's safe to say, man, I hate to say it, that baseball is a dying sport. And I don't see how it's a dying sport because the salaries are through the roof.
I think you're hyperbolizing right now.
Who watches baseball?
Pierre, a lot of people watch baseball.
Ask 10 people who won the Super Bowl, and 9 people will tell you who won the Super Bowl. last year. Ask 10 people who won the World Series. Maybe 3 will tell you who won the World Series. And that's just crazy.
I don't know if it's a dying sport, though. I think not as many people watch baseball, obviously, as they watch, let's say, the NFL or college football or college basketball, NBA. But it's not a dying sport. A lot of people may think that NASCAR is a sport that's not watched by a lot of people. But guess what? They're packing in 100,000 people every Sunday to watch a race. You know, those